Hey everyone, me again. Today I filmed another makeup tutorial for you. I really wanted to do a video using the Revolution Petra palette. I've had this in my collection for a while now and I really like it, but for some reason I just haven't filmed a video with it yet, so I wanted to change that today. I think it's really unique. I really love the design of it and how you've got a mix of cool tones and warm tones. Obviously I've mostly used the cool tone colours on my eyes today because that is just what I'm really into at the moment, and that was kind of the reason why I bought this palette in the first place. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now and just get straight to the tutorial. So the first step is to have a cup of tea. That's a very important part of the tutorial. And as you guys know, I like to start out with my eyebrows, so I'm just brushing them into place and then taking the Revolution brow pomade in the shade Blonde. I think mine has kind of gone a bit drier over the winter, as a lot of my kind of gels and pomades have, so I'm just warming up the product by smushing it around on the lid a little bit, which is the professional term. And then I'm just drawing in some eyebrows using some really light, feathery kind of motions. It's so easy to go overboard when you're using brow pomade, but I'm really trying to keep them very defined, but still reasonably natural. Sometimes I have little sparse areas when I use brow pomade. I'm just filling them in with the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Taupe. And I'll be honest, I don't really need to set my eyebrows, but I usually do it anyway. I just take the MUA Clear Mascara. It's super cheap, it does the job, but I can't really tell you how good it is because, like I said, I just don't really have unruly eyebrows. So at the moment I'm using 2 eyeshadow primers, which is a little bit extra, but I do have very hooded eyes, so I'm trying to give my eyeshadow a fighting chance. And the first primer I use is by AOA, it's their glowy one, so I just apply that first, and that just makes it a little bit easier to put the colour tattoo on top of. I'm using the shade Creme de Nude here, and I think I need a new one because it has gone a little bit stiff. It's a little bit more difficult to blend out than it used to be, though then again that could just be the cold weather. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, having the 2 eye primers just makes it a little bit easier to blend onto my eyelid. And then I'm taking the Revolution by Petra eyeshadow palette. And I'm holding mine up very carefully because mine is actually broken, and that's not a reflection on Revolution or on Petra. It's just me being really clumsy and dropping everything I own, as always. First I'm just taking the shade No Filter, which is a really bright matte colour, and I'm just using that to set my eye primer. And then for the crease I'm using the shade Multitasker. Now as you can see, I do kind of have to stamp this on at first and just try and wiggle it around a little bit because it is a little bit difficult to blend when you first apply it. The more you layer it up, the easier it will get. So I keep layering the same colour on my crease and the outer part of my eyelid. First I'm just using a larger fluffy brush just to keep everything quite blended and sort of smoke everything out, especially towards the edges. And then eventually I take a smaller, denser brush just to apply this same colour kind of on the outer corners of my eyelid and in the crease as well. And that just makes everything look a little bit deeper, even though I'm using that same shade. And as you can see, the more you build up this shade, the more dramatic and intense it looks. It's a really beautiful colour. Then I'm taking the shade Sweet Tooth with a very small, precise brush, and that's just going on the outer parts of my eyes, just where I need that extra bit of definition. So it's going against the lash line and on the outer parts of the crease as well. It's a really beautiful, bitter, dark chocolate kind of colour, and it's a really nice colour to just add a little bit more smokiness to a really cool toned look like this one. And then after I've applied it, I'm just taking the same crease brush that I was using to apply the initial colour, and I'm just using that just to blend everything together. And then I'm taking one of the shimmery shades called Weirdo, and at first I was just going to put this on the outer parts of the lid, but once I started applying I remembered how beautiful and interesting it is, and I ended up putting it all over the lid instead. But this is such a gorgeous colour. It kind of looks brown in the pan, but as you can see once it's on the eyelid it's got a bit of a blue shift to it. It looks a little bit purple in some light and a little bit grey in other lights. In some clips later on in the video it almost looks a bit pink. It's just a really interesting colour, and I'm just taking that crease shade again just to make sure everything is really well blended, because that's just something I like to do when I'm using very dark, smoky kind of colours. And then just to finish off the eyeshadow, I'm taking the shade Drugstore Queen, which is a really sparkly pink. It doesn't show up very much when you use it on its own, so I like to put it on top of other eyeshadows. And I'm just taking a dab of that on the centre of the eyelid. Then it's time to put on some eyeliner, and I'm using this eyeliner pen from Primark. I usually get the skinnier one, but I don't think there were any in store last time I went there, so I've got this one instead. As you can see, somehow I managed to get some usable footage of me putting eyeliner on, and if you're a YouTuber and you make makeup tutorials, you'll know how hard that is to do, so I'm quite proud of myself if I'm honest. Anyway, I'm just doing the thinnest possible line because I have hooded eyes, and I'm just doing a very small flick at the end as well, just by turning the pen on its side. And then I'm going to just put on one coat of the Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara before I put on some false lashes. For eyelashes, I'm using these ones that I got from eBay. I'll try to leave them in the description box below because they're really nice, but they applied so easily because the band is invisible. And you can see the difference side by side between the eyes with the eyelashes and the eyes without, and it does just kind of take the look up a notch. You obviously don't need to have eyelashes, you can just put loads of mascara on and you'll be fine. But yeah, it's just something that I like to do sometimes, especially for more dramatic looks like this one. And then I'm just taking a cleansing wipe and just cleaning up under my eyes to get rid of any fallout before I move on to the base. I'm starting out with the Maybelline Baby Skin Primer, and that's just going on the key areas on the centre of my face, and just anywhere where I get skin texture, anywhere where my makeup tends to break down a bit, which, let's face it, over winter is pretty much everywhere. And just like in last week's tutorial, I'm just taking the NYX colour corrector. The peachy shade is going underneath my eyes to counteract the blue tones. And then I'm taking the green shade and putting that just over the key areas of redness. And then for foundation, I wanted to use something that I hadn't used in a video before, so I had a rummage in my drawer and found this W7 HD foundation. Mine is in the shade Buff, which is the palest shade, which is still about 2 shades too dark for me, so I also used the Obsession foundation mixer. This is the whitening one, and I just mixed it together on the back of my hand to try and make a shade that suited me a little bit better. And it's been a while since I've done this actually, and I forgot how much of a pain in the backside it is. A few years ago I had to do this all the time because there was just nothing pale enough for me on the market. But yeah, foundation shades have definitely improved in the last like 3-4 years maybe, so I don't have to do this as much anymore. A lot of the shades I buy now do actually work a lot better. So I did apply quite a bit of this foundation, and I did layer it a bit as well, but in the end there just wasn't quite enough coverage for the look that I'm going for. I did quite like the finish though, so if you don't need as much coverage as I do, if you're just wearing this on an everyday basis, it will probably be absolutely fine. But just to amp up the coverage a little bit, I took my Primark foundation stick in the colour Porcelain, and I just put that in the areas where I still had a little bit of redness and pigmentation going on, and I just blended that out with the same brush I was using before, and because this is such a creamy formula, it will just blend really easily on top of other foundations. Also, I put my nightgown on when I was filming this bit just because it's winter and the room that I film in gets so cold at this time of year. And then to conceal my under eye circles and any remaining areas of redness, I took the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. This is in their new paler shade 05. I'm using the Gosh Lumi Drops just to highlight my cheekbones. I've really gone off powder highlight at the moment just because I've got so much skin texture over winter. After that I was done with all the cream products, so I just set everything into place using the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. I don't really see a lot of people talking about this anymore, but it's still a really good product and it still does the job really well considering how cheap it is. And to contour, I'm using the Maybelline Master Sculpt. This is in the shade 02, which is a little bit darker, but it's also a little bit more cool toned, which is kind of what you need when you're as pale as I am. For blush, I'm using another favourite. This is the Mad About Mauve palette by Obsession. I really love the second shade, Flirt, which is what I'm using in this video. It's a nice mauvey matte shade and it kind of sculpts the cheek while adding a bit of colour as well. And it goes with this eye look really perfectly, in my opinion. And then I remembered that I hadn't done my lower lashes, so I'm just going back to that same Multitasker shade. And that is just going on the lower lash line, and I am smoking it out a little bit, but not too much. I did want to do the waterline in my eyes as well, so I got the Essence retractable brow pencil. And then I put on a brown mascara from Primark on my lower lashes, just to add a little bit more definition. And you'll see me do this quite a lot in tutorials, but I added a little bit more blush after that. I took a slightly more colourful shade in that same palette I was using earlier. After that, I was trying to decide what colour lip I wanted to wear with this look, and I decided to first put on the Primark lip liner in dark pink. These Primark lip liners are still my favourites. They just can't be beaten for the price and for the quality. They're £1 each, but they really work well. And then I'm going over the top of that with a limited edition Kiko lipstick from Christmas. I don't know if you're still going to be able to get this, but it's really similar to one of the Soph Does Nails Revolution collab lipsticks, so I'll leave the link to that in the description box below. And then I'm setting everything into place using the Revolution fixing spray that I use in pretty much every single video. It's really nice just for meshing the makeup with my skin a little bit better. And I wasn't quite happy with the lipstick, so in the end I went over it with another one from Maybelline, and then it finally came together. And this is the finished result. That is everything from me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you do want to see more from me, then please validate my existence by subscribing to my channel. I'm a very small channel, so I notice every time one new person subscribes to my channel. I really do, and I really appreciate it. Anyway, that's all from me today. I will see you guys next Sunday at 9 AM. Bye!